First, I'd like to commend the school personnel of Dowagiac Union Schools, as well as law enforcement officials in Southwest Michigan, particularly in the Dowagiac and Cass County Sheriff's Departments, for their handling of recent events at the Dowagiac Middle School. Due to the school's planning and repeated practice of safety drills, officials and administrators were able to respond quickly and effectively while maintaining control over a very dangerous situation. On Monday, June 3rd, just over a week ago, an attentive school staff member spotted a young man carrying a handgun outside of the school and notified school officials and the school principal. The principal bravely attempted to speak with that particular young man, who then fled into the woods. School buses filled with pupils were on their way to school that day. Folks were walking to school on any normal Monday before the start of summer break. School officials immediately worked with law enforcement to divert students away from the school building itself, and the walking students were diverted away, as were all of the school buses filled with students coming to the schools in Dowagiac. Superintendent Mark Daniel and his staff members worked quickly with law enforcement, Chief of Police Tom Atkinson in Dowagiac, to ensure that a perimeter was established around the buildings themselves to ensure safety and security of all of the students. After all, nobody knew what to expect from this student who was walking with a loaded handgun. Sadly, in the end, that 13-year-old former student shot himself in an adjacent wooded area and later succumbed to his injuries in a local hospital. Throughout the years, colleagues, Michigan has taken the steps to protect students and staff in our schools. State legislation passed in 2006 requires that a minimum of 2 lockdown drills be conducted in Michigan schools each year for all K-12 students. However, not all of our schools are putting an emphasis on this very important safety feature that the Dowagiac Union Schools has. A recent MLive study examined 54 Michigan school buildings and found that 9 of those schools failed to properly go through their drills and report it properly with the Department of Education. Those 2 mandatory lockdown drills are the same drills that Dowagiac did to make a difference. For these reasons, I'm introducing, Mr. President, a resolution to encourage our K-12 schools to, in fact, follow the fire prevention codes, do the necessary 2 lockdown drills, and report it appropriately. The resolution also recommends that the school boards themselves and administrators continuously review the lockdown legislation and review the safety and technology in order to provide the very best safety to our students, our kids that we entrust to our school buildings during the school year. This money, the bill itself that I'm introducing, as well as the resolution, will look to create a penalty for those school districts that in fact do not provide that safety, that level of safety and security that is so necessary for our students. If they do not comply in the emergency drills, those 2 lockdown drills, then we would withhold the 5% of their state aid payment in escrow until they in fact manage their affairs and keep our kids safe. This money in escrow then will force them to comply with the requirements that this legislature has established. Finally, it worked in Dowagiac. Thank goodness that it worked in Dowagiac, that those drills allowed for students to be safe, for parents to be alerted, for school buses filled with kids to be diverted to a safe location until the threat had subsided, and sadly that threat ended in the loss of a life of a young man in Dowagiac. I welcome your co-sponsorship, my colleagues, on both this resolution as well as this bill.